For delivering cloud-based services, the first and most important need for any provider is a platform. Single platform which can automate service delivery as well as help a provider to manage the complete customer life cycle, marketing and sales, billing and pricing, inventory and assets, support and CRM, partner management, business intelligence, customer panel, and marketplace. RackNap, a unified cloud service delivery and business automation platform, helps you do just that. It enables cloud providers, data centers, hardware and software distributors, SaaS and subscription-based solution providers, telecos, hosters, and many other providers to sell services on their own infrastructure as well as via the third-party provider. Amazon Web Services offers a suite of cloud computing services: global compute, storage, database, analytics, applications, and deployment services that help organizations move faster, lower IT costs, and scale applications. RackNap integration with AWS and Plesk API helps cloud service providers in A. AWS cloud provisioning and automation, B. Controlling AWS cloud's resources, C. AWS cloud billing. Now, let's begin the demonstration by getting to know how A. AWS cloud provisioning and automation takes place. This AWS cloud provisioning and automation is done via AWS cloud provisioning and Plesk provisioning and automation. Let us now see how AWS cloud provisioning takes place via RackNap. From the multiple AWS cloud plans present on Marketplace, your client selects the suitable plan of AWS Cloud. Here, a dummy marketplace that sells AWS Cloud via RackNap is taken as an example. Your client now selects the desired control panel. Here, in this case, as you can see, Plesk control panel has been chosen. He can also choose the network, add-ons, and desired host name. Here, testing AWS 1234 has been chosen. He now proceeds with the order process. As you can see now, the client enters his service account information. He can now see entire details associated with this order. This includes but is not limited to the mention of 2 GB RAM, the associated resource that is purchased from the marketplace. The client is now redirected to the payment gateway to complete the payment process. By the time the payment is processed, provisioning of AWS Cloud takes place along with Plesk license key automation. The payment process, as you can see now, is successfully completed. The screen that you see now is the AWS panel. Here you can see that the recently bought AWS Cloud is successfully provisioned. This can be further confirmed with the running status of this AWS Cloud as is seen here. The AWS Cloud provisioning and automation can be simultaneously verified in RackNap's client panel too. This is how the login screen of RackNap's client panel looks like. This provides your client with complete information related to billing, support, and entire services purchased from you so far. Once your client logs in his RackNap's client panel, he can view all the details associated with this recently bought AWS Cloud: the service name, domain name, registration date, next due date, and the amount paid in this transaction. Clicking on this plan of recently purchased cloud server takes your client to the server control center of his RackNap's client panel. Under the server control center of this RackNap's client panel, one can view the resource details associated with this cloud server, the CPU information and information on allotted versus consumed disk space and memory. This completes the walkthrough over AWS Cloud Provisioning and Automation in AWS panel and RackNap client panel, all achieved via RackNap's integration with AWS API. Now, let's continue our walkthrough by getting to know how Plesk provisioning and automation takes place in Plesk as well as RackNap's client panel. Now, under the server control center of this RackNap's client panel, one can view all the details associated with this AWS cloud. One can get and access the username and password of his Plesk panel here. This facilitates the client's direct login to his Plesk panel via RackNap's client panel, thus eliminating the need of a separate login to the Plesk panel associated with this cloud server. This server control center also provides your client with the Plesk URL and Plesk license key that is needed to access the Plesk control panel. The same license key, as you can see, is also generated in the Plesk master panel that is visible here. This thus confirms Plesk provisioning in Plesk master panel as well as client's RackNap panel. This auto generation of Plesk license key eliminates the need of a system administrator having to manually create one and assign to the customer. This Plesk automation and provisioning is facilitated due to RackNap's integration with Plesk API. Thus, the key takeaways from this section of the demo are: 1. RackNap's integration with AWS API facilitates the provisioning of AWS Cloud in AWS panel as well as client's RackNap panel simultaneously. 2. RackNap's integration with Plesk API facilitates the auto provisioning of Plesk license key in Plesk master panel as well as in client's RackNap panel simultaneously. 3. The single login to control panel click enables customer to log in to his Plesk panel straight from client's RackNap panel, thereby eliminating the need of him having to log into multiple interfaces. Now, let's continue the walkthrough by getting to know how B. Controlling AWS Cloud's resources takes place via RackNap. Now, let's see how can your client control and manage his cloud server via RackNap's client panel. Under the Power Control tab of RackNap's client panel, your client has the ability to start AWS Cloud and stop AWS Cloud. Let's say your client wants to stop the currently running cloud server. This can be done by simply clicking on the Stop button here. This shall lead to stopping of his cloud server and can be confirmed in the AWS panel too. As you see on the screen now, the AWS panel shows that the previously running cloud server is now in stopped status. Similarly, clicking on the Start button in the Power Control tab of Client's RackNap panel, the client's cloud server gets restarted and can be verified by the running status showing in AWS panel on the screen here. This controlling AWS cloud's resources is facilitated due to RackNap's integration with AWS API. Thus, the key takeaways from this section of the demo are: 1. RackNap's integration with AWS API facilitates controlling of AWS cloud's resources. 2. Via the Power Control tab of RackNap's client panel, your client has the provision to start and stop this AWS cloud per his need and requirement. 3. The stopping and restarting of AWS cloud gets simultaneously reflected in AWS panel as well as client's RackNap panel, all due to RackNap's integration with AWS API. Now, let's continue our walkthrough by getting to know how AWS cloud billing takes place via RackNap. Now, let's move to RackNap's admin panel that you as a provider shall get. This screen that you see now is the login screen of your admin panel. This will help you manage services purchased by your end clients from you. Here, you get every and any information that is required to automate your business life cycle, summary of all clients, products and services, billing, marketing stuff, support, and many more. Now, under the orders section of its billing tab, you can have a check over the orders placed by this respective client from you so far. Now this what you see is the single view dashboard of your client that contains, including but not limited to client summary, all products and services purchased from you so far, billing related information, and logs of all sort of communications done by your organization with the respective client. Under the Products and Services tab you see is the recently purchased service from you by the client. Clicking on this service, you as an admin can see entire information related to this service and the order. Now, in case your client fails to renew his cloud server on or before the renewal date, RackNap has the provision of suspending it. This can be done automatically and manually. Let's see how RackNap does it automatically. In case your client fails to renew his AWS cloud server on or before the renewal date, RackNap auto suspends it. If, however, your client renews the said service within renewal grace period, his service gets activated. But if your client fails to renew this service within the renewal grace period too, his AWS cloud server gets permanently terminated along with the permanent termination of Plesk license key associated with it. RackNap also provides you with the provision to perform this termination manually. Clicking on Terminate button followed by the mention of reason behind it shall lead to termination of your client's cloud server that can be verified here. This is followed by cross-verifying the same in AWS panel. Here, as you can see, the client's AWS cloud server status is showing to be shutting down status. This also shows terminated in the RackNap's admin panel, as you can see here. An important and noteworthy point here is that termination of AWS cloud server also terminates the Plesk license key permanently, auto-generated while Plesk provisioning in first part of the demonstration. So here RackNap completely eliminates any sort of manual intervention in managing the termination of Plesk license key. Once AWS Cloud is terminated from admin panel due to any reason, the same gets reflected in AWS panel and there will be auto termination of Plesk license key in Plesk panel as well. You need not to repeat the same procedure. Changes will be reflected in Plesk master panel as well as client's RackNap panel simultaneously and automatically. This AWS Cloud's billing and auto termination of Plesk license key is facilitated due to RackNap's integration with AWS and Plesk API. Thus, the key takeaways from this section of the demo are: 1. Via RackNap, you as an admin have full control over billing of your client's AWS cloud. This can be done automatically as well as manually. 2. The manual termination can be done by you as an admin and is simply a matter of single click in RackNap. Same getting reflected in AWS panel. 3. However, the cloud server also gets auto suspended and terminated in case the renewals are not paid timely by your client. Same getting reflected in AWS panel simultaneously. 4. The most remarkable takeaway of this last section of the demonstration being auto termination of Plesk license key with the termination of AWS cloud. That reflects in RackNap's client panel as well as AWS panel. Thus, finally concluding this entire demonstration, we can summarize that RackNap integration with AWS and Plesk API helps you in A. AWS cloud provisioning and automation, B. Controlling AWS cloud's resources, C. AWS cloud billing. Should you have any questions regarding this demonstration, simply drop an email at touch@racknap.com and we shall have your concern looked into.